They all say that every family has its secrets, but some secrets are deeper than blood, darker, heavier, and more perilous than anyone might dream. For the Browns, the family in the midst of the sister wives' tale, those secrets have been hidden beneath layers of smiles, celebrations, and reality television cameras. But what if those secrets are pulled out into the harsh glare of a courtroom? When the fragile threads holding a family together are stretched to their breaking point, will they snap or somehow hold? Tonight, you're about to witness the beginning of a journey that will change everything. A legal battle so intense, so personal, it feels like the Browns' very souls are on trial. It all starts quietly, almost imperceptibly. The type of moment when one phone call can start a wildfire. Patriarch Kody Brown is summoned, and it appears to be just another ordinary legal notice. But this is not ordinary. It's a threat to everything he's created, every promise he's made, and every lie he's attempted to conceal. The paper accuses him of contract breach, custody dispute claims, and suggestions of betrayals that risk tearing his family apart, and indeed the fabric of their existence. It's a summons none of them had anticipated, and none are ready for. As the days count down to the initial court hearing, tension simmers like a tempest on the horizon. Both wives experience the strain in varying degrees. Robyn, usually the youngest and most fragile, is caught between loyalty and fear. Christine, tough edges and guarded heart, prepares herself for a battle she knows could reveal her deepest wound. Janelle, the solid anchor, watches her world tilt for the first time as ancient doubts reappear. And Mary, who aches to find her place among the turmoil, holds on to the possibility that love could still sustain them. The family assembles, not in the warmth of their own home, but in the clinical cold corridors of the courthouse. The scent of polished wood and leather pervades the atmosphere, blended with whispered terror and muffled sobs. Cameras wait in darkness to take every look, every shake of a hand, every stutter in a voice. The judge arrives, the gavel ready, and silence settles over the room. No longer is this merely a family feud, it's a public trial, a trial by fire in which reputations will be reduced to ashes and allegiances will be forged. As the first hearing starts, the stakes seem incredibly high. The Browns sit together side by side, but the space between them is palpable. Eyes flick, voices break, and hearts thump. The judge's voice thunders, commanding order, but under the pageantry is a storm in the making. The case involves more than contracts or custody. It's about trust broken, promises shattered, and love pushed to its breaking point. And then, out of left field, the unthinkable occurs. A shadowy witness comes forward, one who strolled in the Browns' footsteps, observing their darkest secrets and deepest sorrows. The witness's words hint at a secret betrayal, something that wounds more deeply than all the attorney's arguments. It is a revelation that shakes the courtroom to its foundations and beyond. Robyn's voice breaks as she testifies, showing fissures in the veneer of toughness she has so long sustained. Christine's eyes flash with pain and fury, her voice a snap but edged with a vulnerability everyone has seen before. Outside the courtroom, rumors become gossip, and the family's erstwhile united front starts to disintegrate. Friendships break, allegiances change, and the concept of family itself is a battlefield. The media swarm like vultures, ravenous for every tear, every tantrum, every salacious fact. The Browns are no longer a family. They are icons of a struggle larger than themselves, a soap opera that fascinates and polarizes their audience. But behind the headlines and the courtroom fight, the true story is raw and human. Janelle, torn by the burden of years of silence, collapses in private, revealing a secret she's kept hidden for too long. Kody, attacked by accusations that compromise his legacy, grapples with his own guilt and denial, torn between defending his family and confronting the painful realities he's long avoided. Each courtroom hearing uncovers new depths of pain and intricacy. The emotional burden can be seen in every look, every pause, every sob. The Browns are compelled to grapple, not just with the legal ramifications, but with the very nature of who they are, as individuals and as a family. The walls of the courtroom appear to shut down, stifling and merciless, as each grapples with retaining hope amidst overwhelming disadvantage. Just when it seems like things can't get any more sinister, some bombshell piece of evidence turns up, a tape recording, a letter, a confession, something that blows everything apart, and makes everyone go back to the drawing board and re-examine what they believed they knew. The courtroom is in suspended animation as the judge demands answers, the air thick with tension. A knife could cut it. Robyn and Christine share glances with untold words, earlier hurts coming open in the most public manner possible. The decision hangs over every heart in that courtroom like a shadow. It's not a matter of legal determinations, it's a matter of redemption, forgiveness, and the potential for healing. But some wounds are too deep, and some betrayals leave scars too raw to let go. The Browns will never be the same, and neither will the viewers who have lived with them. As the gavel drops for the last time, the question lingers in the air. What is family when the truth is so messy? When love becomes tied to hurt, and when the court of public opinion is watching every step? The Browns saga is far from complete, but tonight is the night it all shifted. You won't want to miss what comes next. Stay tuned, because the best part is about to get started. The Brown family has long existed in a special sort of spotlight, one that records their every happiness, their conflicts, their victories, and sometimes their lowest points. For years, cameras accompanied Kody Brown and his 4 wives as they worked through the intricacies of plural marriage, motherhood, and finding their way to peace. But under the grins and mutual vacations, fissures have been slowly developing, imperceptible to many but widening by the day. It starts with a peaceful morning, just another. Kody's sitting at the kitchen table, taking his coffee, glancing over the headlines on his phone. The house is eerily quiet, his wives are off in their own sections of the large home, each busy with their own routines. Then the doorbell rings, jarring the peace. A delivery man hands him a thick envelope with official stamps, an order to appear in court. Kody's heart misses a beat. The paper is heavy in his palms, but the weight is not merely physical. The notice of summons accuses breach of contract, custody battles, and allusions to financial malfeasance. It's a vague but ominous threat, a storm cloud on the horizon. Robyn, the youngest of the wives, feels the tension at once. She moves toward Kody cautiously, her eyes scanning his face for clues. He has none yet, only doubt and mounting fear. "What's it?" she asks gently, placing a hand on his arm. He manages a smile that doesn't touch his eyes. "Something we need to confront together?" While that's going on, Christine is already preparing for battle. She's been dealing with the family's tangled relationships, the resentments unspoken, and the silent loyalty. The prospect of a trial battle sends her blood freezing, but she knows she can't turn back now. She's prepared to hold her ground, whatever happens. Janelle and Mary also sense the underlying terror. Janelle, as always the peacekeeper, seeks to preserve the family unit despite the nagging uncertainties in her own mind. Mary, desperate for stability, holds on to the possibility that this legal nightmare can be ironed out somehow, without unraveling what's left of their lives. The summons is like a spark tossed into dry tinder. Discussion is strained, quiet spells grow longer, and each look is charged with suspicion. Kody convenes a family meeting, a desperate bid to face the looming crisis head-on. The wives assemble in the living room, the tension of unspoken fears hanging thick in the air. "We must endure this court case as a family," Kody says, his voice firm but tight. "No more secrets, no more hiding." Robyn nods, her warm demeanor tempered with stress. Christine stands with arms crossed, wary but attentive. Janelle's eyes shine with uncried tears. Mary shifts, attempting to cover the chaos within. This is the initial step towards public accountability. They all realize that the cameras will be recording it all, the court documents will be made public, and the intricacies of their personal lives will be picked apart by strangers. What else can they do? As court date preparations start, each member of the family struggles with their own doubts and fears. Robyn lies awake nights, worrying about what the trial may reveal, whether her strength of quietude will suffice. Christine sits poring over history, hoping to find something that will shield her, or reverse the situation. Janelle leans on firm friends outside the family structure, while Mary retreats, suspended in a maelstrom of feeling. In the midst of the chaos, Kody attempts to keep things in control. He retains an attorney, a tough but empathetic woman, who is aware of the fine line of the case. She cautions him this is not merely a legal battle, it's a fight for his family's soul. The day of the initial court hearing, the courthouse stands tall and imposing, a strange contrast to the homey warmth of the Brown residence. The atmosphere is heavy with anticipation and dread. Cameras gather outside, the reporters murmuring and clicking away. The family enters, faces strained but controlled. Within the courtroom, there is the scent of wood and leather. The judge's bench rises above the room, an emblem of power that seems almost intimidating. The air is hushed, save the quiet hum of the clerk of the court and the gentle rustle of pages. When the judge arrives, all faces turn to the front. The judge is a middle-aged man with a serious but fair face. He orders the court to order, his voice firm. We are gathered here today to deal with the case of Brown versus Brown and others. The case involves claims of breach of contract, custody, and other related issues. Kody and his wives sit side by side, their shoulders set, but the tension evident in the stiffness of their faces. The lawyers find their seats. The air is thick with unspoken dread, and the understanding that this day has the potential to alter everything. The hearing is opened with opening statements by both parties. The opposing attorney is pushy, presenting charges that appear to be calculated to outrage and disturb. They talk about promises that have been broken, concealed assets, and emotional abandonment, creating a scenario of a family on the verge of destruction. Kody's lawyer replies with soothing confidence, highlighting the intricacy of plural family relationships and the Browns' devotion to their kids and to one another. But even on her part, the emotional subtext in the courtroom cannot be denied. When the first witnesses come forward, the mood shifts once more. Old family acquaintances, money advisors, and even a distant relative take the stand, each contributing fragments of a puzzle that fit together most imperfectly. Accusations burst forth when past grievances are exposed, their echoes reverberating through the room like thunderclaps. Throughout it all, the wives sit together, each processing the unfolding drama in her own way. Robyn's hands tremble slightly as she clutches her notes, her eyes flickering to Kody's for reassurance. Christine's jaw tightens. She watches every detail with a sharp, calculating gaze. Janelle wipes a tear discreetly, her heart breaking for the family she loves. Mary's expression is guarded, a fragile mask concealing her pain. Between witnesses, the judge calls for brief recesses. In these moments, the family gathers in the hallways, their private conversations barely audible but filled with raw emotion. I can't believe this is happening, Mary whispers, voice cracking. How did it come to this? We have to stay strong, Janelle replies, squeezing her hand. For the kids, for us. Robyn steps forward, voice firm despite her nerves. We'll get through this, together. But the cracks have already emerged. Wounds from the past reopen, and the burden of decades of secrets weighs down more heavily than ever. Every testimony strips away another layer, exposing more about the Browns than they ever meant to reveal. One witness delivers a bombshell, a financial discrepancy that no one has anticipated. Gasp ripples through the courtroom. Kody's lawyer asks for a brief recess, the courtroom abuzz with hushed questions. The judge peers over his glasses, voice firm but solemn. We will continue after a brief recess. The Browns make their way back to the private room, feelings erupting. Christine bangs her fist on the table. This is not about money, it's about control. Robyn's eyes well up with tears. I don't want to lose this family. Janelle attempts to act as peacemaker. We need to keep fighting, for us. Kody remains quiet, the burden of responsibility bearing down upon his shoulders. Only just into the trial, and already the road ahead appears dangerous and murky. This is merely the start, the courtroom saga that will lay bare concealed realities and challenge the Browns in ways beyond anyone's widest dream. As evening closes in, the family departs the courthouse in suspense. Flashing cameras, shouted questions, and speculation abound. Yet within, the Browns hold on to a desperate hope that somehow through this maelstrom, they will be able to find a path to reconciliation. In the silence of their own single rooms that evening, they each grapple with the questions that will plague them for weeks to come. What will come next? Who will remain on their side? And who will abandon them? And most importantly, can a family broken by courtroom battles ever be whole again? The solutions are there, hidden in the charged court hearings to come, in the confrontations and confession, and in the tears of heartbreak and unexpected kindness. The Brown family's battle is just starting. The courtroom hums with anticipation as the second day gets underway. The Browns are back, their faces creased with fatigue, but their determination unshaken. Out in the hallway, murmurs intensify. The reporters gossip about the blockbuster financial testimony from the previous hearing, and the fans and critics alike wait to see just how well this family will weather scrutiny. Inside, Tension hangs in the air. The judge's gavel bangs out order, but beneath his deliberate tone is a current of agitation. This case has become more than mere legal document. It's a battle for identity, reputation, and life. The first witness to testify today is a surprise to few, a one-time family insider, one who was once beside the Browns, but whose allegiance now appears to be divided. She enters and a shiver goes through the courtroom. The atmosphere thickens, gets cooler as she makes her way to the stand. Her name is Sarah, and her testimony is going to unveil secrets under decades of smiles and photographs. Her voice does not shake, but her eyes give away the weight of what she is about to say. I was there, she says, when promises were broken, when decisions were made behind closed doors that no one outside the family should ever know. The courtroom waits with rapt attention on her every word. Sarah testifies about financial transactions hidden from view, accounts juggled like game pieces on a chessboard, an emotional abandonment that left some wives isolated and ignored. Her allegations go right to the heart of the Browns' carefully constructed image. Robyn's fingers clamp into fists at Sarah's recitation of a scene from the past, a time Robyn had stood up to Kody regarding money being withheld. The anguish in Robyn's eyes is fresh as she hears, memories recalling themselves with stark sharpness. Christine's body tenses, her jaw snaps shut in outraged silence. She has suspected these facts for a long time, but to hear them raw in court is a different thing altogether. This is not gossip, she mutters to herself. This is war. Janelle fidgets uncomfortably, torn between shock and a growing realization that the family she had believed in is deeply more broken than she had let herself see. Mary blinks away tears, the weight of decades of silence threatening to overwhelm her. The lawyers badger Sarah relentlessly, attempting to find inconsistencies in her account. But her testimony holds up. She discloses there have been clandestine recordings taken during family meetings, gatherings intended to be private but now ammunition in this courtroom battle. The room becomes quiet. The judge sits forward, furrowed eyebrows, as Sarah's disclosures risk turning the case on its head. Outside the courtroom, gossip erupts, social media abuzz with speculation regarding these recordings and what they may entail. The Browns' private life is being torn apart, bit by bit. In the courtroom, Robyn is summoned to the stand. Her voice shakes at first, but she finds resolve as she speaks of betrayal and abandonment. I felt invisible, she confesses, tears in her eyes. Like my pain didn't count. Christine observes her, a tangled web of emotions crossing her face. Anger, sympathy, resentment. The air is charged between them. This battle in the courtroom is not only against an outside foe, it's ripping the family asunder from the inside out. It's then that it becomes apparent. The real war isn't only legal, it's intensely personal, a battle for truth and justice that will rearrange everything. As Robyn steps down, Christine takes the stand. Her testimony is sharp, defiant. She speaks of years of frustration, of feeling sidelined and silent. I'm not here to play the victim, she says, voice steady but fierce. I'm here to expose the truth. Her words cut through the courtroom like a knife, and the judge's gaze lingers on her, weighing the sincerity behind the. Janelle and Mary are next. Janelle's voice cracks as she reveals a secret she's carried alone, a betrayal that shattered her trust and fractured her faith in the family. Mary's testimony is quieter, but no less powerful, filled with pain and regret. The emotional intensity is pushed to a breaking point when Kody himself is summoned. The patriarch, typically so stoic, cracks in his armor. His voice trembles as he attempts to justify decisions that many in the courtroom now dispute. I did what I thought was best, he speaks softly, eyes darting across the faces of his wives. But maybe I was wrong. The courtroom waits. The man who constructed this family stands naked now, exposed to the cruel glare of examination. As the session nears its end, the judge calls for a short recess. The Browns make their way to a waiting room, where feelings erupt. Robyn weeps, crying, and Christine sits rigid, clenched jaw and vacant eyes, seeing nothing. Janelle clings to Mary, offering soft words of condolence. Kody alone at the window, gazing out at the courthouse steps. The burden of it is too much to bear. All the surprises, all the allegations, all the crying, rests squarely on his shoulder. But it's far from over. In the background, there are whispers of fresh evidence emerging. Papers, tapes, confessions that would turn the trial on its head. The Browns are aware that this is just the start of a long, bitter ride.
And the question is, can they ride out this storm? Or will the secrets revealed in this courtroom finally destroy them forever? The answers are on the way, but not before more heartbreak, more betrayal, and more moments that will leave everyone gasped. The courtroom is heavier today, air thick with unspoken tension, and the burden of buried. The Browns return, faces creased, eyes with shadows of sleepless nights and ceaseless concern. What began as a battle in the courts has evolved into something much uglier, a war on a personal level that bites deeper than anyone and behind the courtroom doors. The tension is palpable. Family members sit stiff, each dealing with the chaos unraveling their lives. Kody's normally unflappable composure is fractured by doubt, the strain of defending his legacy, and his love thinning. His wives sit tense, their bonds fraying in ways no one dared to imagine. The judge brings the court to order, but it is obvious that this session will be more than mere facts and figures. Emotions reign supreme today. The first witness to be called is Janelle. Her voice is gentle but unshakable as she utters a secret she has kept hidden so many years. The room quiets down, absorbing every word. Her admission is a devastating blow, a betrayal from within the family that no one anticipated. She talks of trust violated, of weeping late at night, of words spoken in hushed tones behind the closed. Her vulnerability shatters the formal walls of the courtroom, exposing the anguish that has. As Janelle Robyn's eyes remain on her, a sense of sympathy and shock. The wife's tension thickens, an intricate pattern of resentment, grief, and unasked question tangling tighter each witness. Then the patriarch's voice cracks, as he attempts to describe choices made in the family, choices that now serve as weapons against. He acknowledges errors, times when judgment has been clouded by fear or pride. I wanted to protect them. He speaks softly, gaze on the floor, but sometimes protection feels like the courtroom is hushed, the gravity of his words settling like dust. For the first time, Kody's vulnerable, not as a leader, but as a man trying to hold his family together. Christine is recalled, her own testimony slicing the silence like a knife. Her voice is fierce, now laced annoyance, and she charges Kody with favor, with closing his eyes to suffering some of the wives had to face. Her words ring long after departs the witness stand, leaving a shadow over the family. Mary, her voice little more than a but each word, heavy with years of aloneness. She lays bare the lonely, set aside and forgotten changing dynamic. Tears run down her face, as she describes times she wondered belonged. The emotional level of courtroom reaches a boiling. The family members who at one time were together now appear like divided by walls of resentment. The judge appears, his normally stoic face unwinding, as he sees the cost. In a brief break, rumor of fresh evidence around. A clandestine recording said to alters what? A dialogue that would transform. The court readies itself for the next stage, where each word be analyzed. Back in court, the tension boiling. The judge demands order, as Chris and Robyn meet eyes across. The air is electric, years of unresolved tension. For a moment, the court was less of just, more like a battle. As the hearing's down, the judge makes a stunning. There has been a request. Surprise. The court was silent. What bombshells are on?
The Browns look at each other nervously. The tempest is far from abating. At this point, the narrative spins on a blade's edge. Every truth, every falsehood, every painful secret waiting to be yanked into the unforgiving light. Beyond the courtroom, loved ones steel themselves for what is to come. The public holds its breath as the Browns' private life comes apart in real time. Tonight is not only a courtroom fight, but a raw, emotional accounting. One that will leave marks, create new allegiances, and maybe start the long, agonizing process of healing. The courtroom is charged before the session even starts, tense like the anticipation of a storm. The Browns enter, faces pale and stern, aware that today might turn everything around. The crowd whispers among themselves, speculations of a bombshell piece of evidence, something nobody anticipated, something that might demolish the delicate equilibrium, keeping this family intact. The judge calls the court to order, but the familiar ritual rings insincere in the face of what is to follow. Tension fills the air, heavy with foreboding and expectation. The opposing counsel suddenly stands up, a small, sealed envelope in his hand. The courtroom hushes as the judge gestures for it to be opened. Inside there's a tape, an illicit conversation recorded in ignorance and without permission, a conversation that reveals unguarded emotions, concealed betrayals, and fissures no one wished to acknowledge. The tension coils like a noose. As the tape is played, the courtroom is transformed into a stage for sorrow. The voices that once rang with hope and love now seep with anger, accusations, and remorse. The voices of Robyn and Christine are memorable. one begging for truth, the other accusing of dishonesty. Robyn's voice shakes, desperate and vulnerable, showing just how wounded she is. Christine's tone is icy, cutting, a harsh contrast that shatters the silence like glass shattering. Kody's face tenses as the recording goes on. Every word is a punch, laying bare wounds that all the makeup and fake smiles can't conceal. The judge observes intently, taking in the seriousness of the evidence. For the first time, Brown's internal rivalries are exposed for everyone to witness, not only in testimony but in their own words. The room is smaller, more oppressive. The walls encroach. Christine's eyes blaze with anger as the recording stops. She stands, accusing finger raised at Kody. "How long were you going to keep this from us?" she asked, trembling voice full of betrayal. Kody remains silent. The courtroom holds its breath, waiting for a reply. Robyn approaches, voice firm but gentle. "We can't move forward on lies. This family is worth more than the truth." The judge calls for a recess, allowing the Browns to regroup. In the hallway, emotions explode. Tears flow freely, voices crack with frustration, and long-held resentments spill over. Janelle sobs quietly, overwhelmed by the chaos and heartbreak. Mary's hands tremble as she tries to steady herself, feeling more lost than ever. Kody stands apart, wrestling with guilt and regret. The burden of leadership weighs heavier than ever before. As the session reopens, attention turns to the repercussions of the tape. Witnesses are summoned to speak about the background of the conversation, describing the tensions and disagreements that resulted in such candid exchanges. Fresh disclosures are made, covert alliances, clandestine schemes, and the brutal fact that the Browns' household life is more complex than anybody ever could have imagined. The courtroom drama builds as the judge calls for clarity, demanding that answers be provided to questions nobody is prepared to answer. In a dramatic surprise, a family friend gets up on the stand, admitting that even the children have been used as pawns, their loyalties torn apart, their innocence destroyed. The gravity of this discovery weighs heavy in the room, infusing the proceedings with a new sense of urgency and tragedy. As the sun sets, the Browns must pick up the pieces of their broken trust. The court may rise, but the battle of emotions has hardly begun. This is the time when everything will never be the same, when the truth, however bitter, needs to be confronted. Outside, the world waits and watches, aware that the Browns saga is coming to a turning point, a moment of truth, and maybe the beginning of redemption. The courtroom is heavy with fatigue and expectation as the Browns come back for what most people think will be the last leg of this long, hard trial. Weeks of testimony, secrets, and tears have drained them, but the burden of the impending verdict bears down more than ever. Outside, the world holds its breath, wondering if this broken family can ride out the storm. Kody enters with a solemn expression, the lines on his face deeper than before. The years of leadership and love, now shadowed by doubt and regret, seem to weigh on his shoulders visibly. His wives follow close behind, each carrying their own burdens. Robyn's quiet strength tinged with vulnerability, Christine's guarded defiance, Janelle's weary hope, and Mary's fragile determination. The judge calls the court to order, his tone measured but serious. "We are here to hear closing statements before delivering the final verdict." The attorneys rise one by one, each delivering impassioned summaries of their cases. The prosecution paints a picture of betrayal and broken promises, emphasizing the emotional toll on the family and the legal obligations unmet. They argue that justice demands accountability. Kody's defense attorney responds with appeals to reason, family nuance, and the sincere love that, for all its imperfections, has always bound the Browns together. This is not a black and white case, she maintains. It is a tale of flawed human beings doing the best they can under unusual conditions. The court sits, the air charged with electricity like static. The Browns remain quietly, soaking in each utterance, aware that their destiny will soon be determined. The judge then stands, indicating the time for which all have waited. His voice rings out in the chamber as he speaks. "This case has told us so many painful things." He speaks deliberately. "It has told us of the fragility of trust, the burden of secrets, and the intricacy of love." He pauses, his eyes sweeping across the faces in front of him. After full consideration of the facts and evidence and testimonies, the court finds his words rest in the air, heavy with tension. Outside the courtroom, journalists lean forward, cameras snapping, held breaths. Within, the Browns draw breath. The ruling is announced, one that shocks many. It admits errors and violations, but also commends the attempts to safeguard the welfare of the family. Custody is realigned, financial squabbles resolved with stipulations, and a court-mandated mediator is directed to guide the Browns through their future interaction. It is not a victory or a defeat, but not clean one. It is messy and painful and real, much like the Browns themselves. As the judge's gavel falls, a collective release washes over the courtroom. Tears flow freely, hugs are exchanged, and some faces reflect relief, others heartbreak. In the quiet aftermath, Kody gathers his wives, their hands intertwined in a fragile circle of hope. "This isn't the end," he says softly. "It's a beginning." Robyn nods, eyes shimmering with tears. "We have a long road ahead, but we'll face it together." Christine attempts a small hesitant smile, the first chink in her armor after weeks. Janelle and Mary exchange optimistic glances, their hearts lighter, though only slightly. Outside, the media horde waiting for responses, but the Browns retreat, demanding privacy and time to recover. Over the next few days, the family starts the painstaking process of healing. Sessions with the court mediator introduce new avenues of communication, and quiet conversations unveil scars that will heal slowly. The Browns discover that healing is not a straight line. There are setbacks, arguments, and periods of doubt and anger, but also victories and new sources of strength. They have dinner together, discuss freely their hopes and fears, and gradually respecify what family is to them in this new phase. Their tale resonates far beyond the courthouse, a testament to love, forgiveness, and the messy, beautiful truth of love. Nobody had any idea what the future held, but this much was certain: the Browns' story was far from finished, and the resilience they discovered in confronting the truth together would define them for the rest of their lives. And as the camera fades to black, the question remains hanging in the air: can a family shattered by secrets and courtroom fights ever really get back to each other? Or will the wounds go too deep? The solution is yet to be known, but one thing is for sure: their tale, as with all great tragedies, is about the struggle, the hope, and the indomitable ties that bind us all.